Review for the Munsters by Rob Zombie. So I watched this movie and I was thinking it got terrible reviews. I was thinking it can't be as bad as I've heard. And I gotta say, I thought it was absolutely terrible. I'm not a massive Rob Zombie fan. I like his first two movies, House of a Thousand Corpses, although, that movie's got some, I don't know, it has frantic editing I'm not massive fan of, but I like the movie. It's a good horror movie. I really like The Devil's Rejects. I actually really like that movie. So I think that by far is his best movie. His Halloween movies, not much of a fan of. There are some good parts with the gore and stuff, but so I'm not a massive Rob Zombie fan, but I watched this. Halloween's coming up. I thought I'd give it a watch. When I was a kid, I would watch some of the Munsters shows. Wasn't a massive fan. I was always more into like the Addams Family, but yeah, I just thought this was terrible. It basically, you're following Sheri Moon Zombie. She is going on these dates looking for a husband, basically. Her father is the Count, and who, by the way, I think is the best character. He's the only actor that didn't really annoy me. Daniel Roebuck. I mean, I guess the guy who creates the Frankenstein, Herman Munster, he was okay. He's not in it that much, but so him and the Count, I liked. I mean, especially the Count. I actually liked him a lot. By far, he's the best part of the movie, I think. And that Richard Brake guy is in isn't he in Three from Hell? Man, this guy's in a lot of stuff. Yeah, he was. He was okay in that. I watched that a while ago. I thought it was not terrible. It's better than this. But yeah, Daniel Roebuck, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's in Final Destination. He's in The Fugitive. Oh yeah, that's right. He's in The Fugitive. He plays a cop. U.S. Marshals. He's in Three from Hell. I don't remember that. So anyway, I mean, he's the best part. He had a couple jokes I found funny. There's just so many jokes that Herman Munster throws out because he's a comedian. He also is in a music. He's in a band. So she's trying to get a husband. She goes out on the date with this basically a vampire guy. She doesn't really like him. He tells some terrible jokes too. And then Richard Brake is gathering, stealing bodies from the cemetery, and he's basically creating Frankenstein, which is Herman Munster. And he does, but the guy he's working with, who's also an actor I like, he was in Lost, and I haven't seen him since. Jorge Garcia. So he was okay too. I mean, but he kind of disappears after a while. It's kind of weird, actually. He's in it. He's with Herman Munster. Then once Herman Munster basically gets with Sheri Moon Zombie, he basically just disappears. But He was good in Lost, and but you know, it's just a terrible movie. It looks, I mean, you kind of get used to the look after a while, but it just looks. I don't know if cheap's the right word, but I mean, you can tell they spent money because there's a bunch of different sets that they go from Transylvania to Hollywood. I like the castle that they lived in Transylvania. I mean, it was probably a real castle, like at least the outsides when they're walking around. Some nice cinematography there with the castle, but it's just there's just terrible movie. It's an hour and 50 minutes. I don't think any Munsters movie should be over an hour 30. I mean, come on, it's the Munsters. The whole time, Sheri Moon Zombie is doing this weird accent, and it just gets annoying. And Jeff Daniel Phillips as Herman Munster, he kind of gets annoying too. And you know, he's really he's not smart, but I guess that's part of the joke because they were gonna steal a brain of a really smart guy, but they ended up stealing a brain of this comedian, I think, instead, and so they didn't get the really smart scientist guy, and I don't know, the movie's just like contrived and too, and I don't know. I thought it was just terrible, terrible. So I'll go into spoilers now, if you can spoil it. I mean, and they have a son, or he has another kid, the Count, who's a werewolf. And he's like a con man. He always needs money. And he basically gets Herman Munster, once he marries her, to sign over the deed to the castle they live in to this lady that used to be married to the Count. And she's all pissed at him. But I was like, wouldn't you need like the Count to sign it? I mean, he can just sign it even though he just got married to her. It's like the Counts lived there for I mean, he says he's over 300 years old, I think. So he's lived there for hundreds of years. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so they lose their house, and then they fly to Hollywood or California, and they buy another house, and really most of it's in Transylvania. And then they go to a party, and they win the costume party, and then their wolf son shows up, or his son, and he's like, oh, the money I made off selling your house, so he went to Vegas, which they don't show, and he said he made tons of money, and then he just gives it to them, and Herman Munster's like, we're rich again, or we're rich, and that's basically the movie. And yeah, I just think it's a terrible movie. I mean, maybe little kids may enjoy it, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't when I was a little kid. I don't I don't think. And I think all this works better in black and white too, but I mean, some of the cinematography, it's okay. Rob Zombie says it was a live action cartoon pretty much, and I'd agree with that. It's just so cartoony, and I don't think it works. Like, oh, real estate agent Barbara Carr is played by Cassandra Peterson, who is best known for portraying Elvira. Okay. Film is a prequel to the TV series. Yeah, because in the TV series they're already in Hollywood, right? So yeah, it's pretty bad. This is his first movie not to be R-rated. So, pretty terrible movie. The best actor in it is Daniel Roebuck. His Count, I actually laughed at some of his jokes. Herman Munster's jokes were terrible. So, but yeah, that's about it. Didn't like this one. I wonder what the budget was. It says 30 to 40 million. Wow, really? That's crazy. Spent maybe 40 million on that. All right. Well, all right, that's about it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that's it.